But I really do think that the human spirit in captivity is under pressure, and we need to move back to loving your craft, knowing that you make an impact, and creating environments where people can really flourish.
Hello, and you're with Aveline Clark on the 6-Star Business Podcast, where we have conversations about what it takes to be 6-star as a 6-star leader in a 6-star business in a 6-star world. Hello, it's Aveline here, and in today's episode, my co-host is Steven Sandor, and we had the pleasure of sitting down with Chantel Botha. Wow, what a conversation this is. Just be ready for this, guys, because she speaks with the most amount of love and heart I think I've ever experienced in someone who works in business with corporate people and helps others to excavate or open up their own genius in their lives and finding out, who they really are. This is what she does. She just exudes love and joy. There's a lot to gain from this conversation. And let me just tell you, she calls herself an innovation magician and a brand warrior creator. And she indeed is all of those things. We talked about what it takes to be 6-star, where we are in the world and what the challenges businesses have to move forward and be sustainable, but coming at it from the perspective of the individual, the human, because it's humans that actually make up a business, make up a company. And no one understands that more so than Chantel. And she helps us to, I think, understand the importance of finding out who we are individually. She's got a background in business economics, computer sciences, customer experience design, coaching, public speaking, you name it, e-commerce and strategy. She brings it all together with some EQ, IQ. She's also a Lego Serious Play facilitator, for those of you who understand that and dig it. She does that. She's a virtual facilitator and also does laughter yoga. And she does that actually as she speaks. So when you listen to this, you'll hear the joy and laughter even in her voice. This is a gift. I give it to you. So please enjoy this conversation with Chantel Botha. Welcome. Here we are. It is another episode of the 6-Star Business Podcast. I am your host, Aveline Clark, and I'm joined here by my co-host today, Steven Sandor. How are you today, Steve?
Very, very well. Little chilly, but no, in great spirits. Thank you.
I'm happy to hear that. And also in great spirits is our wonderful guest from South Africa, Chantel Botha. Chantel, welcome. It is so lovely to have you on the podcast.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so happy to be here.
Likewise. When I saw you were coming on the podcast, I was just like, I was beside myself with excitement, because I find the times we've spoken, it's just been an absolute joy. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this joyous conversation goes as well. So let's get to it, shall we?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's start with some questions. I always like to ask our guests a few questions just to get to know you a bit for our audience's benefit. Could you tell us where you are exactly in the world, who you serve, how you serve them, and then something that you like to do when you're not busy serving people?
Oh, wow. I hope I remember all those questions. So I am in the southern tip of Africa, in South Africa, in a little fishing town called Gansbaai, which loosely translated is Goose Bay. And the coastline here is very, very stormy. So this time of the year, we have just amazing times watching the ocean and just seeing how, sometimes the ocean's upset and sometimes the ocean's calm. So I absolutely love this area, the fauna, the flora. It's really dear to my heart. And before I tell you who I serve, I am probably, if I had to define who I am, I was once at a conference and I studied mathematics and host at the conference was introducing me, and she said, "This is Chantel Botha, and by education, she's a magician." She wanted to say she's a mathematician, and I just I just love that introduction because I truly believe that I've been gifted with, seeing the magic in everything. And that's why I love, serving courageous, smart leaders who really care about their teams. And, it takes courage from a leader to engage in the type of things that the type of programs that we lead them on, because there is this, science and art and magic to really unlocking the potential of human beings. And, those journeys might look very different for different teams, depending on where they find themselves. But the journeys that we take people on is really aimed at, bringing purpose back into what they do. And sometimes they can't find that purpose in their roles. And then, sometimes they've been through our programs and they leave. And that for me is wonderful, getting a person unstuck from a place where they're not happy. And then I think it's about maximizing impact. And, I called my company BrandLove. We are 10 years old this year. And I remember, 10 years ago in June, I literally woke up one morning and I said, I'm going to start BrandLove. And it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. And my husband looked at me and he said, "Are you completely nuts?" He says, "Have you lost it completely?" I go, "No, I was looking for a name and it's going to be BrandLove." And he said, "Where did that come from?" And I go, I don't know where it came from. It just came to me. And, in the business world, especially the circles that we move in, some people frown at us and go like, "Ooh, that's a bit fluffy." And, it's like, especially we work a lot with bankers and people in financial services, right? And if I arrive in my pink sunglasses and I've got my unicorn gear on, these guys go, "Oh, hell no, this is like something out of some cabaret of sorts." But I do believe, love makes the world go round. And I do believe that, the thing that we need most right now is love. And I think my own journey, I was reflecting before I came on this podcast, I was reflecting on, what have I searched for my whole life? And I think I've just been looking for love my whole life. And I looked for love in the weirdest places, right? Because I've got a minefield of just terrible relationships in my earlier years. I mean, I did some really dumb shit. And then I look at my career and I look at, the various corporates that I worked for and how much I was looking for love in those environments. I thought if I gave them ideas, if I gave them my time, if I gave them my passion, they're gonna love me back. And I think when I woke up on that morning 10 years ago and I had this name, I realized that nobody's going to love me back. That's not how it works. Love needs to come from me first. And I can tell you unequivocally, I love all my clients. I love them deeply. Some of them I probably have more intimacy with than others, but I love them all, even the ones who sometimes pay me late. I love them all. And I think that love is a catalyst for creating a safe space, creating a space where they can get more courage. And that's what we need, is we need leaders to just step up and have more courage. Sorry, I've been rambling, but you can see it just pours out of me.
It does. Wow, you almost got me to tears there, actually. A couple of moments. I want to take you back just at one step, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Could you please share with us, how you serve people? You've talked about leadership and your clients and finance. And by the way, for those people listening to this on audio, Chantel actually had pink love heart sunglasses and a unicorn rainbow colored head thing that she put on her head. So check out the YouTube clip if you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Chantel, could you share with us, what it is that you do when you serve?
So we very much started out as a kind of a consulting practice. that help brands create more better experiences for their customers and their employees. And in that process, there's a couple of interventions around really helping them define what their essence is, and then helping them design their journeys. And a lot of people, and I know you intimately know this about customer journeys, they still see customer journeys as a process rather than, for me, ultimately, customer experience is how someone feels about themselves in an interaction with a brand. And it's about teaching people how they can evoke those emotions during that journey. And some of it means that processes need to change and systems need to change, but ultimately, it's the people and the way they orchestrate these journeys that, we help them with. And over the last 10 years, we've done a lot of innovation design, a lot of journey improvement, but very often companies find that once they've got the journey, the real work starts, and it's about activating that, and it's about embedding that, under the skins of the people that need to orchestrate these journeys. So we created a program called the Brand Warrior Program, where we take ordinary employees and we just mix up the ingredients inside them differently, and they become brand warriors. And they don't become brand warriors just of the brand that pays them. They become brand warriors of themselves. We want to ignite that purpose and that passion inside of them, and the pride. I don't believe you can pay someone to make them do something. I don't believe you can get them to comply with certain things just because you tell them. I think if you ignite that pride within a person, that's where they do things, sometimes with, extraordinary superpowers, just because they feel so proud and they know they're contributing to a bigger purpose, and they know their impact. And that's why I think I love the 6-star model so much, because it just blends that, purpose and impact and love. So the Brand Warrior Program is one of the things we do. And then during the early part of last year, we launched a program called Culture Evolution, because I think so many leaders are coming to us saying, our culture's okay, but we need to find that reset button. COVID has introduced a whole set of new challenges. People have been working in front of their fridges, and now that we ask them to go back to the office, they go, "No, I'm actually good." And some people choose not to be part of that culture that might have not worked for them. So we've got a lovely way to press that reset button on culture and help leaders how to redefine and how to almost purify the DNA that they love inside their organization.
I'd love to take you back 10 years, Chantel, when you rolled over and you said to your husband, "I'm going to call the business BrandLove." Did he say, "Why would you call the business brand, darling?" That's a dad joke there, Evelyn. I was catching up. So no, I wanted to take you back 10 years, because when you started the business, you've already said that there's been two iterations. One has been the brand warrior, and then the iteration of the clients coming back to you with culture. But when you first started, what was the vision for the business the same as it is now? And how have you been able to grow the business into that vision?
Sure, Steve. I'm going to be blatantly honest with you. I think when I came up with that name, I didn't have a vision. It was much more of a conviction, right? I had no clue. Like, I just knew in my role, and I was in a role inside an organization where I was consulting on strategy inside the organization, and I literally, I had so many ideas. I knew that I could take this big financial services brand, I could take them on a very different trajectory if they would only listen to my ideas. And literally every month I stood by this graveside where I had to bury these ideas, and it killed me. It hurt and they called me all kinds of names. I was high maintenance. I was way too ahead of the curve. I was even told, my colleagues don't like me because I make them look bad. Like I'm operating at such a high standard. And I go, like, you got to be nuts. You want me to lower my standards because I make people around me look bad? So the system I was functioning in was really putting a lid on the impact that I could have and really putting a lid on my purpose. So I don't think I cannot pretend to say, like, listen, I have this amazing entrepreneurial spirit and I had this incredible vision. I think my soul was dying, right? And starting this business was just rescuing my soul. And it didn't happen in one fell sweep, right? I had the name, and then I went like, okay, what do I do with this name? So I started a forum, and I called it BrandLove, right? And I remember the first time I had a breakfast, I just put on social media, listen, we're going to meet, we're going to discuss customer experience, and 55 people showed up, and I went like, holy moly. This was when customer experience was not nearly as, as widely understood, or, there wasn't so many practitioners. And I went like, oh, wow, this is amazing. And we had obviously had fun. But then I started writing under the brand, because in my corporate role, I couldn't write the stuff that I really wanted to write. So the brand gave me license to write just from my heart and just tell it as it is and be a little bit on the edge and, challenge people's thinking. And then I developed a few training courses, and I started running the training courses under the brand. And during this time, I actually moved from that role into a role with a very prominent asset manager investment house in South Africa, and they paid me a lot of money, right? They courted me for 3 months, and they paid me an insane salary, and I went to them. And it was the hardest 2 years of my life. I used to say, like, I wore one of those bulletproof jackets to work because it was such a ruthless environment. The culture was just terrible. Sometimes, to calm myself down, I went to the loo and I played Candy Crush, because I knew if I didn't do that, I was going to kill someone. I mean, this is like confession time, right? If I wasn't crying or playing Candy Crush or having diarrhea in the loo, it wasn't just a normal day, right? And I remember 2 years into this, I got to do amazing work. And I'm grateful for that experience. Because the opportunities it gave me was to really look inside, really develop myself. 6 weeks into this, they said, no, they're getting me a coach because they can see I'm struggling with integration. There's some incompatibilities, and I'm struggling to integrate into their culture. And I remember the day I left, I went like, fuck you people. I never had integration issues. It was your culture. Your culture is like, and literally I got up one day, I had no plan. I walked into, they were doing some restructuring, and they were doing really, really funky, unethical stuff. And I walked into my manager's office and I said, I'm done. He said, what do you mean? I said, I want to break up. I want to divorce you. He goes like, you need to see someone, your share options and your long-term incentives. And I said, but I'm seeing you. He says, no, you need to see a medical professional. He said, can you not sit it out like for 6 months? I said, no. I said, think about that amount as I'm buying back my soul from you. I take that money, I'm buying back my soul. I think I'm getting a brilliant deal, but I'm buying back my soul. And from there on, I had a contract winemaker husband with not a permanent job. I had 3 kids in school, and I went home that evening and I said to my husband, I quit. And he said, what are you going to do? I go, I don't know. I know that my conviction is going to lead me somewhere. And within a week, I had phone calls from people who knew me, people in my network, and all these phone calls went like, a little birdie told me. I go, yeah, what did the little birdie tell you? And the little birdie told them I was available. And I've literally never looked back, never spent 1 cent on marketing. A lot of it is just referral business. And I think the way my team and my brand operates is you either love us or you don't, right? And if you don't, then you do something else. And even people that haven't loved us like 5 years ago, they come back and they go, okay, now we want some of that. Now we see what this is about. We've tried all the other alternatives on the market, and we know that you get results, and you get results because you demand a high standard, and you demand a piece of someone's heart. I had a discussion with the CEO maybe 18 months back when we started a project with them, and he gave me all his requirements, and I was sketchnoting this. And once he was done, I said, all right, so now it's my turn. And I said to him, I need you to feel the stuff as much as what I'm feeling it. I need you to feel it under your skin. And if I'm lying awake at night about your brand and your project more than what you are, you're going to get a call from me. Do we have a deal? And he said, yes, we have a deal. Most successful project ever, because he immediately gave me his mobile number. And he said, here's my number. We made a deal. And the level of discussions we've had, and how much he's into this, because we made a commitment at a very different level. And although he's got a big team, this is one of the biggest banks in South Africa, he's got a big team, he always knows, and the door's always open. And if he doesn't hear from me, he goes like, how are you sleeping? I go, no, I'm sleeping great. How are you sleeping? And if I'm not sleeping great about his brand, I tell him. So I think it's, Steve, just conviction, just like, now I'm getting more deliberate, because we're in a stage where we know what brands we want to work with. We don't want to be in the position where we fire clients because they're not as into it as what we are. So I think we've also had, we've picked up some wins over the years, because we want to deliver value. We want to make an impact. And if we don't see a match in terms of values and culture with the client we're working with, we know that we're not going to get that impact. And we know that they're going to struggle, and they're going to have all those questions about ROI, like how much have you invested? What results can you show?
I love that conviction. That's very intuitive. Yeah. It's a complete alignment within oneself of knowing, what you've got to do, and backing yourself as well. Right.
Yeah. And I think, Evelyn, just thinking about my team, right? It was me, and then, we were 3, and then we were 4, and then we were 5, and, now we're a team of 14 people. And it's interesting how people, it's almost, I can't say, I can't talk about how I recruit people, because it's not recruiting, it's attracting. And it's just, I honestly, I call my team lovies, my brand lovies. And I say to them often, there's no amount of money that I can pay them that's going to be enough for what they do for our clients. And I do believe it's really that, they're aligned with the conviction, and they've got their own conviction. And although it's not an exact copy of the conviction that I have, I think this alignment around they know their purpose. They understand the impact that they want to make. And they bring love in different ways, right? Because we're not all the same. They bring introvert love. They bring extrovert love. They bring love for design. They bring love for financial services. They bring love in so many different forms.
You're obviously, well, not only super aligned to what you're doing, and I want to go down that path in a minute, but I want to get you to answer the question, if that's okay, of what you do when you're not busy serving people, because I'd love to know a little insight into, who Chantel is on that level.
So when I'm not serving people, some of the things I love outside of, obviously, I think maintaining that balance, I love my work. I'm good at what I do. So sometimes that balance is quite difficult. But when I manage to switch off, I love cooking. I love food so much. So, and I'm married to a man who, in another role, if he wasn't, helping me change the world with BrandLove, because he's also my partner in BrandLove, if in another world he would have been like a 4-star Michelin chef, right? He is just, sometimes I go, even when I'm mad at him, I just cannot get rid of him because he cooks so well, right? I would really suffer if he didn't cook for me. So we love we love cooking together. We love creating new dishes. I have bottles of things in my house that are fermenting that I have no idea what's in them. And I say to my husband, you got to leave me in your last will and testament. You got to leave me some recipes and some instructions, because I know I'm going to find some bottles of stuff in a corner somewhere and I'm not going to know how to give it love and how to make it grow. So he's into like fermenting foods, kimchi, a lot of the stuff he does, but I'm obviously his number one taster. And so love cooking. I love being outside. And we stay right on the beachfront, so I spend a lot of time just walking. I'm quite an activist when it comes to nature conservation. Last year, I landed on the front page of the newspaper because I stopped a construction vehicle from digging a big trench through a beach, and obviously this area is quite a quiet, peaceful area, and a 50-year-old woman lying in front of a massive digger made headline news. And I think I got the point across. So I really love this activist stuff where, I can speak for people who don't necessarily can speak for themselves. And then because I'm such a A-type personality and quite a, I just want to get shit done. And I know, like, now that I'm in menopause, I know probably don't have so much time, and I function at probably twice the speed. I really need to do things that slow me down. So I meditate daily. I also studied Qigong. I studied a Qigong teacher's training that really taught me the science of Qigong and how to use it to really slow down. I think this thing about having impact is, sometimes I'm so busy, putting the oxygen masks on everyone else that I kind of, I overwork myself, and I overfunction so much that I just moved from burnout to burnout earlier in my life. And now it's really important for me to continue the impact, but with really healthy practices and really looking after myself, understanding that, the love I give, I need to top that up, and I need to, fill my own cup, and therefore I can give love to my kids and to the dogs and to my husband and to my team and to all of our clients.
We get, Av and I, when we're on here, we get to this point and we're looking at each other going, how do we get these beautiful guests on this show? And it's like, wow, just wow. That's my reaction here now. I wonder, because you mentioned that you're creative, right? There's quite look around you, right? I mean, for those of you who are watching the video, there's this beautiful, I don't know whatever it is there. Yeah, that's my version of bliss. Is it? Do you bring creativity to? I'm struggling with the question here, Chantel, but I'm thinking that BrandLove is an emotive word. It requires you your clients to think differently. You challenge them. They have to be courageous to be a partner. I love the alignment that you seek with your clients. Where does creativity come into all of this? Or does it?
Steve, it does. And I'm, without oversimplifying it, I think when we work with a client and we look at the environment, and we look at, how they serve their customers, and we look at their team, and, we have discussions with the leaders, it's almost like, we see the dots that are not connected. right? And they're blind to, sometimes they're suffering from overwhelm. They don't see the gaps. They don't know how to, even if they know there's dots that need to be connected, sometimes they don't know how to connect them. So it's because we've worked with over the last 10, 15 years, so 30 years that I've had the pleasure of being in different roles in my career, solving so many problems across industries in such different environments, I think gives you the ability to almost spot those gaps. It's almost, those TV shows where you have these people looking at mathematical problems, and these letters light up and they float across the board, and the mathematical problems start solving themselves. I mean, I'm over dramatic, but that's almost how it feels to me sometimes when we look at these environments and we go, we get it. We know how to fix it. We see these mathematical equations that need to fall in place. We see with deep empathy for people, if we apply design thinking to an environment, we've done it so many times that we come with empathy, and we can accelerate that process. And if the client is fairly open, I mean, we use weird things like, Lego serious play. We let people draw stuff. We actually, the science that we use engages a different part of the brain where people are sitting with the answers. They're sitting with the solutions, but they just can't get to it because they're using methods that don't lead them to finding those answers. So my deep philosophy is that the answers are always there, either in the person or in the group. And we are the catalyst that bring the secret ingredient of, love and great recipes, how to unlock those answers. And if a leader and their team find those answers for themselves, they will act upon it. If they're given the answer by a consultancy and we go, all right, so this is going to be your 10-step process. You do this and you do this and you do that. If you don't do this, you're going to be fired, right? It doesn't work like that. If we lead them and if we are the catalyst to get them to get to the answers in a creative way, then they'll own it and they'll defend it. So lots of creativity, and sometimes my team needs to rein me in because I go, I've got a great idea. We've got to run this workshop. I've got a great idea for a new product. And they go, Chantel, just hang on. We need to sell the amazing stuff that we have. And because we don't do a lot of marketing. Most of people that come to us is like workshops we run online. It's word of mouth. And I think sometimes that creativity, it can be a great thing for our clients, but sometimes as a business owner and a CEO, I need to just contain some of this energy. Otherwise, I'm all over the place. I would be creating new products every week. And the downside of that is we have got the antidote to real problems in organizations. And if we don't land those solutions with those organizations, we're actually depriving them from having joy in the workplace, from making an impact. And that's really, I think when someone says to me sales, I go, the first connotation is a secondhand car salesman, and I don't like sales, but framing it in a creative manner, saying, we have the antidote. We need to take the antidote to people and help them. And Brand Warrior is life-changing. I've seen people over a 12-week period literally look 10 years younger because they're actually processing stuff. They're dealing with their own feelings. They're really developing this warrior within so that they can show up with a lot more courage and with a lot more impact.
Something you just said then, Chantel, really stood out for me as being different, as in, this is why you're here on this podcast. You were talking about the results that you get for your customers, and you use the words giving them more joy and more impact. You didn't say better ROI, more leads, more sales, all that language. Are these the words that you use with them? How do you position this?
I do. I do use these words, but I frame it within the context of, because most of the time I'm working, when we are in the final stages of concluding a contract with a large client, we work in all industries, but very concentrated in financial services. So I'm talking to a CFO, I'm talking to an actuary or an accountant, and the business case for love and emotion and empathy, for them it's so foreign. So we've got great case studies, and I show them the results, the concrete results. 4 months we saved 6 million. 12 months we retained so many people. So I think because we're not a startup, we've been in business for 10 years, so we've got really incredible case studies. And I always invite them, go and speak to the CFO of that customer, because it's much better. They will tell the story very, very differently. But if you ask me, is there a business case for workplace joy, for aligning people with their purpose, for love in the workplace, I will say to you, absolutely. Absolutely. There is a business case for that, because I've seen people come from being miserable and unhappy. And you know what, Evelyn, these emotions have a frequency, right? If we look at the science, these emotions have a frequency. So if I've got someone who's miserable and unhappy, they vibrate, the cells in their body vibrate at that frequency. Now, what happens is we have got such a negative bias that if one miserable person comes into a team of 3 happy people, the likelihood that they'll make people around them miserable is really, really big. So, if I just look at the science behind this, and this is a little bit woo-woo, right? But the science behind it says that if I can change the frequency, if I can let people deal with the underlying things that overwhelm them and make them miserable, I can give them skills. And that's why this is so skills focused. And luckily these CFOs, they know skills, right? Because they have a severe lack of some of them, right? In the interpersonal skills area. But if you give people skills so they cope with life better, then they can, find one thing that makes them happy. And the practices we have around gratitude and around connecting first, before we get to the transactions and the content, we really connect at a human level. And the results I've seen from there is, and if people don't believe me, it's a little bit like religion, right? Some of the stuff, you're never going to see it. You're never going to have like 100% scientific proof. But even if people don't believe now, usually they come back. They go, okay, we recently worked with a big organization, and they've got 2 distinct areas in this organization, 2 business units, and we pitched to them at the same time, but the one didn't want to work with us and the other one did, and we worked with the other one for about 12 months. And then this business unit came and said, like, we want what they've got. Can we have one order of whatever you gave them? Because their business results are astounding. They've hit the lights on all of their targets. They've overachieved on all of their targets. And the people use a different language, and the people are incredibly happy. Even if they're under pressure, they're actually happy. So whatever we want, and I go, are you sure? Are you ready for this? Because this is going to mean you need to fold your tray table away and put your safety belt on, because you're in for some turbulence. You're going to have to put some skin in the game, and you're going to have to do this work. It's not we as consultants come in and we do the work. It means we're going to be your mentors. We're going to take you up this mountain. We're going to show you how to do this. And you're going to come out stronger on the other side, and then you're going to be able to help yourself. I think the philosophy is very different. We want to teach people, not just do it for them.
Yeah, wow. One of the tenets in the 6-star business community is around leadership, and one of the repeated kind of themes in the podcast conversations that we have is that 6-star, achieving a 6-star in business, whatever that means to that person, starts with the self. It starts with looking at oneself, pulling back the layers, going deep within, and healing and working through stuff and connecting in with who they are. And everything that you've just explained and talked about in terms of what you do with your clients is exactly that. You're not selling a tactic or a process per se. That I'm sure there's those are interwoven in stages and the right times, etc. But effectively, what you're doing is you're getting people to work on themselves, aren't you?
Yeah, and I mean the value proposition there. I mean, I often say to my team, they go like, "How do we explain what we do in Brand Warrior?" I go, "Well, there's the brochure stuff, but really, we cannot exactly tell someone, listen, you're going to bring your team of 30 people, right? We're going to ask you to really focus on your emotions. We're going to let you do some visualizations. We're going to let you face some of your fears. Sometimes you're going to cry. Sometimes you're going to have diarrhea. I go like, no, that stuff, that stuff is most likely not going to sell. But if we tell someone about the outcomes, like, do you want to be clear on your vision? Do you want to be clear on your purpose? Where do you find yourself now? Are you just surviving? Or are you actually thriving? Can you lift your head out and see, listen, this is what I want to, this is the dent I want to make in the universe. And I think often, the people that we work with, sometimes they're very captive by the environment, and they've got all these limitations that are, some of them are assumed, some of them are just wounds from long ago that they bring with them. And I say to my team, we just lift and we just give them a little bit more space, right? And then they get to challenge some of those limitations. And, if we work with a group of 30 people, some of them shift 2 degrees, some of them shift 90 degrees, some of them go, listen, this is life changing. And we can't predict that. But what we've seen is just higher levels of connection in teams. And when you have connection, you have more collaboration and you increase people's ability to solve problems and not solve it in isolation. And I believe that's just a catalyst. It's literally like you create a ripple and that ripple just keeps on going. And some of the stories that I just love is how people have taken some of the tools and they've worked with their teenagers that are struggling with relationships. And the stories they bring back is like, listen, I love this clearing model. I've explained it to my teenage daughter. She's using it with her friends. It's really helping her. Thank you so much. Or they come back and they say, like, listen, I couldn't agree the color of a car with my wife, and I used this technique, and we've now settled on this. And, we've worked with thousands of people in the Brand Warrior program, and I think 2 people that were in a program recently died, and we get to know them at such a different level that it's sad for us when we feel like we've lost someone that was dear to us. And I often say to my team, sorry, I'm gonna get a little bit emotional here. I say to them, what a privilege to have known someone at that level. And what I said to them, like, if I knew I had a short time, I probably would want to do the Brand Warrior program. I probably would want that enlightenment and that additional level of awareness. And, we light candles and we have our own little ceremonies for people that we lose that have gone through our programs. We pay tributes, but that shows me how much we care. And I think that's not something that you can explain in a brochure or put a price on. And that's not something that I brag about. It's something that's part of this conviction, just how we show up, and just incredibly grateful for my team that they are willing to go on this love journey with me and really care that much.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Chantel, I want to ask you if you could, gosh, when you're a little girl and your mum or your aunt says to you, or a grandparent that sees you, for the first time in a few months, that was my thing. I didn't see my grandparents that often. What do you want to be when you grow up? I feel like I could ask you that now. You are grown up, of course, but that magical kind of wish. What would you like to achieve with BrandLove?
Sure. I am exactly where I should be, and I think I have got so much more than what I ever dreamed was possible, and that I'm so grateful for. What I want to achieve with BrandLove is heal more people that can heal more people. I think we've got a corporate medicine here that works in big systems that scale very well. And the more leaders we can touch, the more of their teams they bring to us, I believe we can really put joy and the ethic of love back into businesses. And that's what I want to achieve with the rest of my life is, and in that process, leave a legacy for my children. My 11-year-old daughter, she really looks up to me, and she, when she needs to do these projects at school about who's your mentor, who do you admire, she picks me, and that's such a great honor because she sees the best and the worst of me, right? She sees me when I have my meltdowns, and she sees me when, sometimes I get angry because people don't want to buy into love, and I think sometimes I joke, do you want to be CEO of BrandLove? And she goes, absolutely. What do I have to learn? What do I have to do? And I think it's about leaving that legacy, whether BrandLove continues in the family or whether BrandLove continues in a different way. I think it's about healing and bringing this love ethic back into businesses because it is possible, and it is possible at scale.
I didn't expect any other answer to that, to be honest. I don't know that. What I feel is that you are in such a beautiful place for you, and that what you're creating around you. It's hard not to be infected by your magic.
Thank you. That makes my heart just beat faster.
And I just, by the way, I got very emotional when you talked about your daughter and you being her mentor. I love hearing these things and speaking with people like you, Chantel, who creating magic in the world, and you are making a difference and an impact that comes from the heart. And I like to say, what if BrandLove and your program was in every corporate around the world? What would that do to business? What would that do to people? How would that impact our lives? How would that impact communities? Just what if?
So I'm giggling inside because I think every time we have a discussion internally about strategy, where we're going to go next, one of the things we said during last year is Brand Warrior is a philosophy, and it's almost an operating system. It's almost like a few things that you connect in the human operating system, and we'd love that operating system to run in more businesses. And it is really, if you look at how businesses upgrade their software, right? It's like when the next version is available, they're quite happy to, let's run an upgrade project. But sometimes with their humans, they don't do the same thing. And I think as the world are changing, and especially the new opportunities and the challenges that have come with COVID, I think the human operating system is in need of, skills that are going to future-proof us, skills that are going to make us work better together, skills and practices around caring. Because what COVID has done, it's kind of pushed us down on Maslow's hierarchy. And, in many organizations, I wish I could measure fear, right? We've got a couple of indicators, but in some organizations, we go in there and I just wish I could have a fear meter to tell me, okay, is this a 7 out of 10? Is this an 8 out of 10? Because fear in large organizations is really unhelpful. And when people's needs on the Maslow hierarchy are not fulfilled, they substitute, right? And they substitute with some of the behaviors that we see that are just horrible. Me versus we, and I just look after myself. That's a typical, I'm very afraid, and I'm just going to do whatever I need to do to protect myself. So when you say that, I would love for that. I would love for that to happen, and I would love for more leaders to step up. Leadership for me, we're dealing with a different pandemic because I think leaders have really been under pressure the last 2.5 years. A lot of leaders that have come to me for support and assistance have said to me, Chantel, none of my previous strategies are working. I am such an imposter. I have no clue what I'm doing. What should I be doing? And I go, well, you've done the first step, right? You've just been so honest about where you find yourself. Now we can work with you. If you came to me and you said, my people are broken, my people are dumb, they don't listen to me, then I would have said to you, okay, let's peel away these layers, but you're already there. And I think that brutal honesty about, I have no idea what to do next. I'm totally out of my depth. I need to grow. That is a lovely place for a leader for us to be there for them and say, okay, we know what you should be doing next, and we can help you grow, and we can help your team grow together.
Just keeps getting better, doesn't it? Yeah, that whole, dropping your ego and being in that leadership role where you feel as though I'm in that role, and so therefore I need to know everything, and having the vulnerability to be able to say, I don't know it, and put your hand up and ask for help. I think that demonstrates to everybody around you that it gives them permission to be in the same boat and ask for help. Yep. I got nothing, Av.
Thanks, Steve. I have a question for you, Chantel. Obviously, the world has changed. COVID has shifted so many things, and you've mentioned this now. Do you see future challenges for organisations and how, moving forward? And do organisations need to evolve from how they were operating pre-COVID?
I think the biggest challenge I see is that people have always fought against the system, saying, I want more flexibility. I can work remotely. I can be productive. And now within 3 weeks, that whole, thinking of corporates, it's just magically these systems could work remotely, and magically people could just work from home. And I think people then realized, listen, all the excuses that they had before, it's no longer valid. They just didn't want to see it. And some of the articles I've read is we've the disruption that was caused by that, accelerated some of these things by 10 or 15 years. It would have taken organizations 10 or 15 years to realize that they can work in a very different way. And if I look at what people are asking for, they want more flexibility. I recently had a conversation with a leader that said to me that they are struggling. Their people don't want to go back to work. And the silly excuses that they give them is that they can stay at home with their dog and their dog can sit on their lap. And I go, well, why is that a silly excuse? Do you have a dog? And I think, leaders, they go, well, I don't have the skills to deal with this dog issue. And I go, well, it's a whole different paradigm. So what I'm also seeing is people doing a lot of self-discovery and a lot of learning, right? Because now it's on tap. You can just get online learning everywhere and from anyone that you love. So as the people that were previously captive, as their self-confidence and their skills levels go up, they're going to take more leaps of faith. They have more choices. They can work anywhere in the world. They can work in any time zone. They can move globally. You know, a lot of those barriers have been removed. And I think there's just keeping talent is going to be really, really hard. During COVID, you know, BrandLove, we had some uncertainty, right? And one of the things I did early on is I said to my team, don't bank on salary increases immediately, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to move you to a 4-day week. We've never looked back, right? My team are more productive than what they were before COVID. They have a 3-day weekend. They do yoga. They go mountain climbing. My team does the craziest shit on a Friday, right? And that is just, you know, they top up their own, you know, adventure buckets. They top up their own love buckets. So I think organizations are going to find it more difficult to get really good people unless they review what they give people and the environment in which they keep people. You know, we at the moment, we're looking at great analogies for, you know, what's happening in the workplace. And you know, it's rare that you'll go to a zoo and go and look at a mule or a donkey in captivity, right? But if you go to a zoo and you see a zebra, I mean, that's incredible. But again, if you keep a zebra in a zoo with very much limitations, they're not going to be happy. And there was an animal called a quagga in South Africa long ago. And this quagga, you know, people hunted it and they kept it in zoos, and it went extinct. And it's some of that story resonates with me, because I do think human potential in captivity, without looking at, you know, the needs and without looking at what people need to flourish, I believe that human spirit has a real risk to go extinct. And when it goes extinct in a workplace, people switch to autopilot. They do what they need to do, but they don't go the extra mile. They don't have joy in their work. And eventually, I think it leads to, you know, real mental challenges. I've worked with teams where a lot of the team is medicated to be able to cope with some of these challenges. Now, you know, I don't know what it looks like worldwide, and I have no numbers to support this, but I really do think that the human spirit in captivity is under pressure, and we need to move back to loving your craft, knowing that you make an impact, and creating environments where people can really flourish.
What a beautiful way to sort of summarize the what you're doing, and the vision for what you're doing. And everything that you've said in this conversation is at another level, right? And I know that you know what you're doing is different. It's unique. And for the listeners that have gotten this far to the conversation, hopefully you realize that what Chantel has been talking about is operating in a 6-star environment, creating 6-star people, and helping to create a 6-star world with that impact. And this is a very special conversation for that reason. And I don't think we can use the word love too much, by the way. And thank you for saying it in the first, 30 seconds, I think, of talking with you. We're coming to a sort of a close of this conversation. Steve, have you got any questions or any sort of insights that you want to talk about before we finish up?
I do, but I feel so insignificant between the two of you at the moment, because I hope the listener sort of gets the feeling of what it takes to be a 6-star business. And and I am sitting here and I'm in awe of what's, the conversation today, because it's everything that I try to push forward, right? And I don't always do it as eloquently as I would like. So I'm really grateful, Chantel, for for what you've been able to deliver today, and how clearly you've been able to provide that guidance, if you like, for those people who are struggling to understand how in a corporate world they can bring this type of emotion with a purpose of creating a better business, which eventually means more profit for the business, for the owners, for the shareholders, but more importantly, that people can come to work and feel as though they're loved and loving. So yeah, thank you very much. Really,
Thanks. Thanks, Steve. And you have no reason to feel insignificant. You are just, I think you're such an amazing catalyst, and you're a matchmaker. And thank you so much for introducing me into this community and introducing me to Evelyn. I think you've got a real magic, and you just stirred these ingredients, and look what we've got now. I feel truly loved, and I feel like, with the two of you, I've come home. It feels like just such a great match. So thank you for that.
Really beautifully put. I agree, Steve. You're a catalyst, and you feel deeply, think high, and I that's why you're here. And yeah, you brought Chantel into our world, 6-star world.
I'm just going to give you a little bit of love.
Our...
I'm just giving Steve some love, right?
I love it. Love it.
Gorgeous. Everyone, she is wearing her Love Heart pink sunnies, which I'm jealous about, and I need to get some as well. Chantel, in closing, is there any piece of advice you would give to someone listening to this conversation? Maybe they're a leader, maybe they're a business owner, maybe they are looking to expand their business. What could you share that you haven't already shared that might leave them with something to really absorb and take on?
I mean, I would say, and I love the 6-star business, beautiful diagram. Okay, I'll just hold it up to the screen there. I would say to people, take this and go and plot out, what's your purpose. Just refocus yourself on your purpose. Look at, what's the impact you want to make, and look at, like, who do you need to give love to. We've recently been awarded the accolade of the best customer experience agency in the world by our set Global, and my team said, how are we going to celebrate? I said, we're going to love the clients who got us here. And the whole campaign that we're running at the moment is, how can we love those clients? How can we pay gratitude to the people who got us there? And we're creating, the technique of stakeholder map. We're creating a love map, right, for the people who were on this journey with us, who got us here, because it's not us, right? Yes, we worked hard. We worked very, very hard. But it's the people who allowed us to transform their organizations, who gave us the case studies, who gave us the things to celebrate. So I would really say to leaders, get yourself a copy of this 6-star business book, and look at that diagram and go and plot where you are. Go and plot the things that you're paying attention to right now and the things that you should be paying attention to, and just recalibrate and do that regularly.
Thank you. That's just beautiful. Yes, the 6-star, we call it the genius model. It's the 6-star model. It's the model of love. And in the middle of the 3 circles, of course, which are purpose, love, and impact. And I have to say, Chantel, that you embody those, on a moment by moment basis. And it's definitely an alignment with us when I first met you and learnt about what you do. So thank you for shining your love, your purpose, and to create an impact in the world. And we're fully supportive of everything that you do, and we'll continue to talk with you and see how we can help you impact more businesses. And I just want to thank you for coming along today and speaking with us and being a part of our family, our 6-star family.
Amazing. Thank you to you and Steve. It's been wonderful. I couldn't think about spending my morning better than just hanging out with the two of you.
Thank you.